Hi everyone, welcome again. It's great to connect with you since our last video interview session. Today I have a very important guest with me, Tom Quinn, the Head of Content for Mining Indaba. It's apt that Tom is with me today as we begin the final countdown to the Mining Indaba Virtual event taking place next week on the 2nd and 3rd of February. Tom is here to whet our appetite about what lies in store for us over the two-day program. Tom, thanks so much for joining me today.
Thanks so much, Laura. I'm humbled by your introduction, and I was just thinking the last time we actually met in person was the last Indaba, and how the world has changed since. But it's great to be here and to talk about what we've got planned for next week at Virtual Indaba.
Indeed. So, Tom, as I said, we are only a few days away from the start of the virtual event. For those who don't know much about it, and I'm sure there aren't many, what would you say to pique their interest?
Well, yes, it's we've had to adapt just like everyone else during this year, and we were really hoping we could bring a regular Indaba to Cape Town, but obviously with what's going on at the moment, the health and safety of everyone involved is paramount, and so we went with our contingency, which was our digital version online, and what we've tried doing is kind of getting the best of Indaba. Because we can't expect people to sit in front of their computers for 5 days, 8-10 hours a day. It's just as much as we'd like. It's not going to happen. So we've put together a flavor of what the regular Indaba is about, and we're focusing on some of the key issues for this year. So just top line points that people will be really interested in. We've got 4 heads of state, which is fantastic. So President Ramaphosa will be addressing the Indaba audience. We're very honored to have him. Also the President of the DRC, President of Sierra Leone, and the President of Botswana. So it'll be great to hear what they have to say about how their countries have responded during the pandemic and the future of mining. And also a great endorsement for Indaba that these heads of state themselves want to support the event and the African mining community.
So Tom, that's great, and I can't wait to hear from them. I'm interested to know how you actually found the process of evolving to a digital event, especially considering the primary Mining Indaba carrot has always been about the networking.
Definitely, and I have to applaud you and the team, Laura, on the great job you've done at Mining Review Africa with some of your content over the year. As I've mentioned before, I've tried to tune in when possible, and I know it's very difficult to replicate that in-person experience. Actually, the one of the key audiences for Indaba, of course, is the investors. Not just investors in Africa, but the international investor audience. And what we have planned for the end of March is a dedicated investor day where a lot of the networking and matchmaking will take place online between junior mining companies, all kinds of mining operators and new projects, and the global investment community. So we're really excited about that. It goes some way to bringing them the Indaba experience, and I think we want to maintain those touch points throughout the year. So the Indaba next week, Mining Indaba Virtual, is to kick off our program of connection with the Indaba audience. And as I say, we've tried to bring some of the best components of Indaba online. So we're honored to have leading figures like Mark Katafani from Anglo, Bold Batar from Rio, Mr. Mgojo from Exaro Resources, Roger Baxter from the Minerals Council, Neil Froneman from Sylvania Stillwater, and many others who really wanted to support Indaba, and despite the shift to digital, wanted to make sure that it's a success for this year. And lots of other content planned going forward as well.
Thanks, Tom. It is a great lineup. I've seen the program. I'm looking forward to the sessions, and I think your investment initiative that you're doing in March is another super idea. So congratulations on getting that into the pipeline for 2021. Tom, I know that digitalisation is one of Mining Indaba Virtual's key themes this year. And I mean, it's obviously relevant from a COVID-19 perspective, but why else? And how is Mining Indaba getting that message of digitalisation and the importance of it across to the audience?
Yeah, great question. I mean, the very fact that we're doing this right now, Laura, is testament to the importance of digitalisation, particularly in a pandemic environment. You know, we've those of us with families, we've all had our recent struggles with homeschooling and things like that. But it's just amazing that you can reach into someone's front room and have this kind of the event platform that we have with Indaba Virtual. In terms of the wider mining community, I've had some really interesting conversations over the last few months of how mining operators are applying digital technology to keep their workforce safe, to spread messages rapidly within the community involved in the pandemic. So a lot, for example, of the major mining operators have apps and communication tools that they've been using with the workforce. And if there is a case of COVID at one of their operations, that they can deal with it very rapidly. And on that note, I've heard some fantastic positive stories, both from government and the industry side, on how they've collaborated together during the pandemic. So changing their medical facilities into field hospitals for COVID, supplying PPE to the wider community, and that very important job security for many working in the mining industry in order to keep the economy ticking over until the situation can improve. So we have a really good panel involving figures from Exaro, Siemens, and many more operators and tech companies. And it's going to be moderated by Neil Hume from the Financial Times, really talking about how the digital applications have been probably speeded up due to the pandemic, and some of the positives that have come out of that.
Tom, besides that important topic that you are going to be covering next week, are there any other themes that you want to tell our audience to look out for?
Definitely. I mean, over the last few years, as you'll know, sustainability has become a huge part of Indaba. And we started the sustainability, it was more like a half day towards the end of Indaba. And it's just testament to you know, the importance of ESG now that our sustainability day has become a full day right in the middle of Indaba, and we attract the CEOs, the important community leaders, and sometimes ministers and even heads of state have taken part in the sustainability day. So ESG, I know it's a term which is buzzing around different industries, particularly the extractives at the moment. But we have a couple of sessions on, okay, so we've heard about ESG. How is it working in practice? You know, what is possible and what's not possible? How far down the ESG framework and goals are companies? And how does ESG investing affect projects going ahead? Because it's very easy for ESG to fall into a kind of buzzword and lose its value and meaning. What we're interested in with the sessions next week is finding out exactly how ESG works in a practical environment, and indeed how the pandemic has affected ESG investing. So that's one topic. I guess one of the other important things is the journey of some of the prices for metals. So precious metals, gold has had an incredible year in amongst all this disruption, with the price going up and up. Silver, even iron ore has had a rally late in the year. And what I'm particularly interested in is the platinum group metals. So we have a session dedicated to PGMs, and I'm really delighted that Natasha Wilhelm, the relatively new CEO Anglo-Plats is able to join us for that. And I think it ties in really well with this overarching theme of sustainability and mining's role in the energy transition. So all these battery metals and PGMs, which Africa really has a lion's share of in terms of resources, how can Africa help boost its own national economies in various African countries and be part of the energy transition and the decarbonisation question at the same time? It's a really exciting topic, and so we're looking forward to hearing from those people next week.
All super pertinent topics, Tom, and there was never any doubt, certainly from me, that you'd have such a fantastic lineup that you put together for next week. So really, really looking forward to it. Tom, last but definitely not least, you know, we know the world has changed. Will Mining Indaba, as we know it, as has traditionally been for the past 25 years, ever be the same again?
Yeah, and it's no doubt a question you and the team have been wrestling with over the last few months. Certainly we have, as one of the world's largest conference and exhibition organizers, of which Mining Indaba is one of the jewels in our crown. And we've had to respond very rapidly to the changes in the world, from the various lockdowns, when people couldn't even travel into the office, let alone go to a conference or an exhibition. What we've done as an organization is set up what we call an omni-channel task force. Very early on, it was way back in March last year when we were going into lockdown in the UK. And we've looked at best practices from across our various exhibitions and events globally to see what works and what doesn't. And I think we've had some success recently in regions like China and Russia in holding kind of hybrid events. So very safe, very socially distant exhibitions and conference on site, but also screened digitally to the global community working in that industry. And I think probably that's here to stay. And I think one of the really cool things about what we're able to do with Mining Indaba Virtual, despite all the disruption and all the negatives that have happened in the past year, this has given us an opportunity to open the Indaba to a much wider audience. And I'm particularly passionate about our young leaders content that we do at Indaba. And I know that the challenges that young leaders and students, particularly in Africa, have in getting to the Indaba. I'm pleased to say, you know, we've had financial support from our lead sponsors, Anglo American, and people like Vedanta and Rio. And they've gone some way into helping students come to Indaba. But we have the opportunity this time to open it up to this wide audience of young leaders, recent graduates, people from China across to, you know, even Wall Street and West Coast Canada, who are able to tune in, who might not have the opportunity usually to travel all the way to Cape Town. And I think that's really exciting. So we've got something like 80 countries already registered, people from 80 different countries, which is fantastic. And we're seeing a huge uptick in people who have never gone to a live Indaba, but are registering for free to see what we're doing next week. So I'm really excited about the potential that this can bring. And I think going forward, Indaba will have a balance of in person, which is vital. As you say, the networking is absolutely critical to Indaba, but also that digital element, which will allow us to bring in the next generation of mining leaders.
I love it, Tom. And I think digital is just taking Mining Indaba to a new level, which is absolutely fantastic. So, Tom, just before we go, I want to remind our audience that Tom participated in our 2021 edition of Mining Elite in Africa. Tom was part of our advisory board. Tom, don't you want to share your thoughts around the publication this year, which we've just launched, and what you feel it means for our industry?
Yeah, it's. I mean, it was an honor to be asked again to be on the advisory board, and for me, it gives me a great opportunity to see what is being done out there in the industry, from, you know, very niche projects to how it affects on a kind of macro level, particularly with ESG principles in mind, how mining operators are going forward and really involving the community and really thinking about how they plan a mining operation sustainably for the long term. So it's not just a case of we're going to be here for a few years and then we're gone, and what happens to the community then. So it's been really enlightening and gratifying to see a number of the companies that have been doing this, particularly, as I mentioned before, companies like Exaro. And I know that the team there have done a huge amount in terms of revitalizing mining communities in South Africa, but also doing it in a sustainable way, with the whole question of the future of coal and how we can try and bring down the carbon footprint of that. There's also been some great initiatives in Mining Elites to do with preservation of wildlife, and companies, particularly gold companies, who are supporting that. So much more than just looking at the extraction side, but how does it affect the wider community and some of the economies, as in the tourist economy, for that country. And also, as I mentioned before, the huge response that mining operators have had to the pandemic and supporting the communities in which they operate. So many good news stories of how, without being asked by the governments in their particular countries, they've stepped up, they've converted facilities into medical facilities to treat COVID. They've given that sense of job security and that leadership within communities to keep them stable and functioning through what's been a very challenging time. So I ask everyone who's watching this to download the Mining Elite to see exactly how the mining community has stepped up, because as Mark Kutafani himself has said recently, sometimes the mining community isn't great at telling its story, and it should be better, because there's so many good things which are happening out there in the communities, which I don't think that the wider public often know about. And the Mining Elites has a number of great examples of how mining has stepped up to serve its communities.
Oh, Tom, thank you so much. And thanks for appreciating and acknowledging the vision that we have with bringing the good stories from mining to the industry. And thank you for helping to make the product such a wonderful success.
Thank you, and always a pleasure to work with you and the team at Mining Review Africa. So looking forward to next week, and if anyone hasn't registered, please do so, because it's free and you can register at our website right now.
Absolutely. Tom, thank you so much for joining me today. I can't wait to see what comes out of Mining Indaba Virtual. I'm really looking forward to it, and I will catch you then.
Thank you. See you then, Laura.
Cheers, Tom.